Hey guys, Frank here and welcome to another episode of How Did I Shoot This One? And this time, I'm gonna tell you a story you're not gonna believe, but it's awesome. So join us for today's episode. Now, during our photo shoots and of course during our workshops, you often also see somebody else running around. We call those interns. And those interns are often with us for about 6 months and they experience everything. So they help with the photo shoots, they do the posters, they help out with the videos, and of course sometimes we let them paint backdrops. Now, of course, with interns, you have really great interns and you have really awesome interns. We never have bad interns. But sometimes we have interns that don't really understand the difference between high gloss paint and low gloss paint. And sometimes it really works out really well. And in this case, a mistake became a very famous backdrop. The Opulent Red from Click Prop Backdrops. Oh, there we go. Okay, so what happened? Now, during our photo shoots, I love to use custom backdrops. Now, in our studios, we have a lot of the walls that are custom paint. I love structure, I love different colors, and of course, I love gradients in our backdrops. But at that point, we ran out of walls and we wanted more. So we have movable walls, but at one point, there's a lot of movable walls. Let's try something else. So we had these big wooden sheets, and we just painted them with, for example, a gray color. Nice reflector, nice backdrop. And we started using them in different colors, different materials. And in all essence, they looked great. The only thing you had to do is hold them up. But they were easy to store, they didn't take up a lot of space, and they were great for impromptu set building. And at one point I thought, you know what would be great? Paint them bright red, and that's probably my mistake, bright red with a lot of structure and glitters. Yeah, I shouldn't probably have said glittering and bright together because my intern came and started painting and we looked at it 4 hours later and it was reflective as a mirror. So actually we started using the backdrop in our studio for a very simple reason during the workshops. Because you know what the biggest problem is for a lot of photographers? Angle of incidence is angle of reflection. Think about your glasses. When I look up, you see the reflections of the light in my glasses. When I look down, you don't. But when I look too much down, you don't see anything at all. And of course, we want to see the eyes of our models, of our subject, right? So angle of incidence is angle of reflection is really important in photography. But in this case, also in the backdrop. And how often does it happen with you that you shoot on a location where you are struggling with reflections? It can be the reflection of your stroke that gives you a nasty hotspot. It can be the reflection in glasses, or it can be any reflection at all. And sometimes there are just too many reflections. One part to get out reflections is using a black reflector, but I'm not going to talk about it today. I'm going to talk about the angles. So, when we wanted to shoot this backdrop for our custom backdrops for Click Backdrops, we actually had to shoot it under an angle and then in Photoshop extended it straight up again. And it worked great. Shot it with a medium format camera, more than enough resolution. But in a workshop, I can't of course just lay my model down and shoot it under a straight angle and then that doesn't work. So during the workshops, we have to make sure that we place the reflection perfectly. I'm going to show you a few images. This is the first one. Here you can see the problem with the reflection. The reflection is really ugly, it's all the way to the side, it doesn't make any sense at all. You might say, put the model more forward. It doesn't matter, the reflection will still be there. In the next image, I'm using the reflection a little bit to my advantage, and I love using this, especially explaining to students where shadows fall, following the lines. In this case, I'm using the reflection right behind my model, so you can see like an aura of light behind the model. This one I love. But it's not what I wanted. Now, as soon as you understand the angle of incidence is the angle of reflection, you know that you can also walk around your model and shoot against the light or into the light. And this becomes really interesting because now I can use the reflective backdrop to give a little bit of an accent or take out the reflection at all. And this is what you see in these images. I'm shooting these from the side, I'm shooting it into the light, and it just creates more depth for me, and I don't have that reflection on the backdrop. So I'm just following the lines. Angle of incidence is angle of reflection. So for lighting setup, you can use whatever you want. In my case, with reflective backdrops, I love to use something that has a grid, because with the grid I can steer the light and there's less light fall off or a light spillage. And the less light spillage I have, the less chance I have hitting that backdrop with something that I don't want that reflects back. But again, we can talk about this for hours. Let's go to the studio. Let's take a look at the behind the scenes video so you can literally see what's going on. As you can see, a solution to a problem that happens all the time, reflections. So the next time you're shooting, always remember angle of incidence is angle of reflections. So when you have glasses, place your light slightly higher, because if you place it higher, angle of incidence is angle of reflection. Shoot from here, you don't have any reflections. Angle of incidence is angle of reflection, shoot from there, and there you go, the big reflections in the eyes, or sorry, in the glasses. I hope you enjoyed this little tip about angle of incidence and angle of reflection and our Opulent Red horrible backdrop, which is actually pretty awesome. If you have any questions, of course, I'll leave them in the comments below. And for this time, I'm signing off. See you again next time. Bye, guys. No, I was not in a time machine, but I would love it if you like, subscribe, and of course tell other people about the channel so we can grow. And maybe one day I can buy a digital camera.